I'm going to drop a couple bombs on the FD channel right now.
Who you rolling?
I am rolling with FC.
I'm rolling with FD.
Let's do it. Let's go.
I'm rolling with that.
A lot of people are here. It's a good environment.
We want to set up here today to kind of showcase the community.
Are you trading up just because you want to have that high-end card to sell, or you just want to hold it just to have it?
But is it prospecting or are we
Gambling.
Is it gambling? I took the perspective of I need to get to know more people and like have conversations with them.
Is this one of the things like, oh, you want to make this deal? I'll put you on my video. Like, nah, I'm okay.
Y'all ready for Dr. Strange? Just a question. Are you ready, bro?
See, and then he had it signed by him.
No, when they cut Darth Maul in half, I literally yelled out, "No!"
If I would have known BGS has more value long-term wise, I think I would have went that route.
But do you have certain cards that you know you're gonna hold on to?
Yeah, FD, man. I'm in it for the long term.
We're jumping right in here, people.
A lot of people are here.
We have EJ from Burbank Sports Cars here.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on?
How's
What
it
up,
going?
Good to have you here.
Man, it was all bases loaded until I realized the Dodger game got canceled. So, guess we're going back.
He's crazy. Let's jump into it, man. I've been waiting for this one because you've been on the little talkative lately.
Oh man,
You've been talkative lately, so I'm ready for the shenanigans you about to tell us today.
it was almost forced, but I will say this, guys. I'm very, very excited for the show. You guys are going to hear some. Again, thank you guys for having me again. FD, JD, very, very grateful. I believe it's my second or third time being on the show, man. I'm just really, really excited to be a part of it. I've been looking forward to it. FD and I, we're gonna rumble, young man, rumble as far as on the sports talk. But make no mistake, man. The hobby is definitely alive. Shout out to my guy C Blez. Man, it's grown. It's grown since the last time that I remember being on the last. What's the flavor? I think the last time we were doing Ontario, right? We were preparing for Ontario,
Yes.
so. Man, the show has grown. The hobby has grown. I feel like it's in that right place of just a mix of course, there's an opportunity to make a buck, right? And I'd like to say that it wouldn't be a healthy hobby if it didn't have that opportunity, right? For us collectors, especially to make a buck on top, to be able to fund and to keep funding our collections, right? And to keep us in the hobby, but outside of just on the collectorism standpoint, you're seeing a lot more companies take this seriously. So looking forward to talking about the show. Definitely want to hype it up as much as I can. Again, I am the promoter of the show, but at the same time, definitely want to throw some facts out to you guys and share some of the good things that's happening on the show.
Okay.
So excited to be a part of it tonight.
Ooh, you ready, FD?
JD, jump in there, man.
Let's jump into it. So, this is the third one. So let's talk about obviously you started at Burbank, then we moved to Ontario. Now your hometown, the backyard. You were happy, but you were excited about it. So just talk about what are the challenges that you face personally? Because we talked to Jay on Sunday, and he told us his side on the logistics. But what about you, with the promoter getting all the tables in, all the hard work that nobody's seeing?
So I took on a bigger role. I unofficially, officially became the executive director for the show.
Oh.
I don't take that lightly, right? And being able to pretty much run the driver's seat of the show, I have to make sure that not only are we doing what's best for the show, but what's best for the Burbank brand, what's best for the business, what's best for my staff, our partners, myself, Jay, Rob. We have to make sure that every decision has to be at the best of us as a team, right? And make no mistake, Anaheim was something that we knew was going to be a challenge, but we had no idea it would be this type of challenge, right? And it goes back to what I had said on the last episode with Jay. So if you guys haven't checked that out with Jay, our logistics director for the Burbank show, I said this. I basically said that with what Jay has done with the budget that we allocated for him compared to other convention shows, I don't consider the Burbank Card Show as a regional show. I don't consider the Burbank Card Show as a typical card show. I consider this, we are very proud to say that we've grown this to, and to everyone's help, right? That's been a part of it, including you guys, FD, JD, all the media guys that's a part of this, and especially in our community in Southern California, because we don't really have anything this big, right? Or even remotely half this big. So to be able to have that responsibility of leading that team and leading that for you guys, it has been nothing short of incredible. But it has been a challenge, and I'm gonna definitely get into the challenging part of it. But I wanted to give Jay his flowers, because Jay's the guy that doesn't get the credit. He doesn't get much of the credit. A lot of people hear the EJ, they hear the Rob, they hear Burbank, but they don't really hear Jay. And that's honestly our biggest challenge was logistics, was definitely pivoting in a sense, right? This time around, it costs a lot more money to run this show, guys. And JD, FD, you guys know, man, I'm all for the smoke. But there were some jabs that I decided, you know what, man, we're not gonna fight this, because at the end of the day, what's not meant to be understood doesn't have to be explained, right? Like, as long as we're able to execute this as the best show we could possibly do, then that's all that matters. And I'm here to say that we've done all we can, and we're still doing all we can, right? But at the same time, I'm really freaking excited about the show.
So it's going to be a wonderful show. Yeah. What excites you the most? What's some new stuff that's coming that may people like? Okay, all right. We know it's not on the table. So what else is coming?
I'll share some facts. As you guys could see, I don't wear hats, so I don't cap. So I'm gonna just keep it straight up. All bases loaded. EJ's here. Shout out to my brother FD, by the way, man. Much love to FD. But there's a lot of capping going on, and I made sure that there was, with this show especially, I made sure that there was no sort of hey, we could have easily called this a 1,200, 1,500 table show, right? Including the booths and everything. We didn't do that. We just basically counted up all the tables on the sports section, which, in my understanding, there's only 2 tables left at the time of this recording. I believe won't be sold out by the time I get off this. But what I'm really proud of, beyond the dealers and of course our sponsorships and all that stuff, which we'll get into, right, is our attendance, our pre-sale tickets. That's the biggest thing that I'm extremely proud of, because that takes a team. It doesn't. It's I don't want to say it's easy to get a sponsor, because again, as you guys know, getting these corporate sponsors is it's not an easy task, right? But I think it's the fact that our pre-sale tickets has been nothing short of incredible, especially our Saturday. It's 2.5 to nearly 3x of Ontario and Burbank. Damn. So Saturday is looking insane. That's why when Jay joked at the last episode of What's the Flavor, he joked that he said he was going to take Saturday off. Well, I hope Jay doesn't take Saturday off, because and it looks like we're going to need to hire FD and JD on that Saturday as well. But guys, I'm very, very excited for that, because it shows me that the Southern California market has bought into what we're trying to do here. And I'm really, really proud of that. That's the success of the Burbank brand. That's the success of you guys, with you guys, what you guys are pushing, and what we're all trying to push for Southern California, because I hear it all the time. I go all over the country, and I go to all the shows. JD, I know you did your part with going to different shows a year ago or a couple years ago. FD, I know you started to kind of venture off and do some shows outside of Southern California. And you guys hear it all the time. Well, we're the best at this. We're the best at that. And I will honestly say that Southern California is the best market. And that's not because Rob is my business partner. That's because at the same time, I know the folks that are here. I know dude, we all see them every week. And I full disclosure, guys, I live in Las Vegas now, and I love Las Vegas. I love my home hobby family here in Vegas, the Vegas community, but there is nothing like home. And I'm very, very proud to be able to run this show for you guys, because, man, the type of stuff that is going to happen at this show has not happened in nearly 20 years. There are some things that's going to be available for you guys that has never came to the West Coast. There's some sponsors and dealers that it took them a couple Burbank shows for them to see and realize, you know what, let me give Burbank a go. we don't have that same luxury of the National of having 40 years. And shout out to the National, man, great folks that are running that show. But at the same time, man, like you guys see it on the website. EJ said this. We're just trying to run the best card show possible, right? We're not trying to be the biggest. We're not trying to be this. We're trying to be the best that we could be. And I'm very proud of our pre-sale tickets because that shows me not only that the fact that the hobby is growing in our community. And I think that's what's really awesome about it. That's especially me and you, JD. When we first started, man, we used to go to Jimmy's USA, bro. And it used to just be me and JD, bro. Like, and it's crazy, man. Jimmy has not missed any of my shows. And I'm very, very proud of that, man. Cause you know, I've taken different inspirations from Jimmy. I've taken different inspirations from Wiley, from Union. I've taken different inspirations from a Dion at the Card Addict, Jay, my business partner, Premier. I've taken so many different inspirations from other card show promoters and turned it into this, right? And this is all, I always tell people, especially in the Northern California area, I've told folks, like, guys, this is our show, right? Like, this isn't Burbank, this isn't EJ show, this is our show. And I want to make sure I let people know that is that, guys, like, I'm not saying this selfishly. I'm saying this as like, dude, every phone call I do, especially on the East Coast side, because a lot of these companies are spending thousands of dollars on bringing their staff. They're bringing their team to come through. They're bringing their machines. They're bringing whatever it takes. And it takes a while for them to realize, like, dude, there's nothing in Southern California. And it takes a lot of persuading to get these companies to come here. Even with the Burbank brand, it's a bit difficult. And I'm being honest here, right? All bases loaded EJ is honest here, guys. But at the same time, I'm very, very proud of that. And I can't wait for you guys to really experience this.
Oh, my goodness. I can't wait. So you can't talk about exactly what you talk, like the little hints or anything like that?
Oh, no. The gloves are off today. I have signed every contract that I needed to sign.
Good. Because Jay said the other night, some things we can't talk about. But I know
besides one company I can't talk about, everything else is good.
So what's the 20 years thing you're talking about? We haven't seen in 20 years or whatnot. Lay it all out. We want to know. Get us hyped.
So I mean, on a straightforward standpoint, the last national was 2006. Okay. For the record, that was my first card show. Can you imagine? My first card show was the national. I was 14 years old. We haven't had this size of a show that was over 200 square feet since that national. So in nearly 20 years, 20 years, I don't want to age me and JD or FD here, right? but in 20 years, we haven't had this size of a show. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, Jay has done an incredible job with making sure that everything is as handled as could be. And I can't commend him enough. I'm gonna start making fun of him. I've given him a lot of flowers, man. I got to start making fun of Jay. But going back to what I said when it comes to what hasn't happened. I mean, look, PSA is a partner of ours at the show. They are offering this hasn't happened in 20 years. This hasn't happened in any years. I'm very big on collaboration. If you guys know me well and you guys have seen how I do a lot of business outside of the hobby, even before I got into this industry, I love to collaborate. And to be able to collaborate with Collecticon, which is one of the premier TCG events out there in the world, to be able to collaborate with them, they're about a week before the show. They're this weekend. And Burbank Card Show and sports cards will be at the show, will be set up at the show. So we are collaborating in partnership with PSA to do a 3-way type of service. It has never happened before. I'm really hoping it works. Kudos to PSA, man. We executed this in the Ontario show last year, where it was submitted at the Expo, which is the coin show, the Long Beach Expo, and then you get it back at the Burbank Card Show in Ontario, and it was a huge success. So I went back to PSA and basically told them, look, well, Collecticon's a week before. And I had initially thought it was going to be an easy feat. And they basically said, you got to talk to Collecticon. So I flew myself to Dallas, Texas, and met with the guys at Collecticon. And sure enough, man, it was one of those, well, let's see if it makes sense. And after a few weeks, we decided to make it happen on that front as far as a cross partnership promotion. we're expanding our first floor to TCG. Again, we're trying it out, but at the same time, we're very, very happy with the dealers and the corporate sponsors that we have on that TCG space. Make no mistake, we're a sports card show primarily, right? And you can see that with our tables compared to the TCG, but it's something that we'd love to try. And at the same time, look, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if anything, these are for our kids and the folks that aren't necessarily sports card dealers. We want to make sure that there's enough for everybody, right? And that going back to the three-way submission deal, grading submission deal with PSA. You will be able to submit at Collecticon, and literally within a few days at the Burbank Card Show, you'll receive your submissions back, and then vice versa. At the Burbank Card Show, you could submit your grading submissions to the Burbank Card Show, and you'll get them back at the Long Beach Expo the following week. So that's a three-headed monster for you Yu-Gi-Oh guys. That's a blue eyes. That's a blue eyes trio dragon. I forget what it's called, but it's a three-headed monster of just an ability for you guys to take advantage of that return. I myself am taking advantage of that service. I'm looking forward to grading some of my more Grail pieces that I haven't gotten a chance to grade. And really, really excited to that. And then, of course, PSA's courier service, not the great curator, shout out to the curator, but the great courier service, PSA. So for those of you guys that do not know, courier service means that they will take this back to HQ. For those of you guys that are asking, oh, why aren't they on site, this and that? Well, it's because they're about 5-10 minutes away from HQ. And we want to make sure that we strike partnerships that make sense for both parties. When I do sponsorship deals and when I do deals with our sponsors, I don't have, of course, yes, there's a financial side of it, right? And we all know that. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I look at this as to what can Burbank Card Show do for our sponsors so that they can better execute what they need to execute, whether that's marketing, whether that's servicing, whether that's financial. I want to make sure of that. And guys, guess what? Even the monsters like a PSA, like a Tag Grading, like a Beckett, those guys, SGC, those guys are monsters in our industry. But guess what? They also have P&Ls. They also have employees. They also have folks that they need to fly in to execute this. So with PSA, it just made sense to keep their machines in HQ, and then they'll take it during the show. At the moment, it's an end of show return. So if you guys need any more info on that, head over to psacard.com/shows, and you'll be able to see the Burbank Card Show. And I would be very remiss if I didn't mention the other grading companies. Beckett will be RCRing, and they'll doing take-home submissions. SGC, who very rarely does West Coast shows at this multitude, they will be. And a lot of you guys do not know and has not submitted with SGC. SGC is pretty fast. They're very fast. FD, JD, I don't know if you guys have dealt with SGC, but the team there, man, great folks. And of course, Tag Grading. I'm a huge fan of Tag. I can't wait to finally get to submit my 90s cards that I've been waiting on. They've been in semi-holders for a long time, and I can't wait to finally get that on the Tag slab, man. For those of you that do not know, Tag will be on-site grading at our show, and you guys have seen all those Tag activations. Tag is not going light at this show. They're going to bring something that is going to be cool. I'm going to be probably there most of the time during the show, but as far as grading companies, those are our front runners. But we do have a new addition to our grading company lineup of sponsors, and that is Baseball Card Exchange. So for those of you guys that do not know, they are the wax authenticators, the leading wax authenticator company, and they will be at the show, and they'll be able to take submissions on a 4 to 6 week turnaround time.
That's wonderful.
What?
That's wonderful.
Wow. Hold on. Let me look at this. Damn. So they could grade the wax? Is that what you're saying? Like sealed product?
Yes. You'll be able to submit your wax. You don't have to ship it out. All you have to do is head over to the BBCE booth, which is on the first floor, and you'll be able to submit some of your wax. A lot of you guys, I know, are holding on to some pretty crazy wax. I know with the whole situation that's going on right now. There's a lot of football holders, football wax holders that are kind of resisting from ripping any more football after the big news. So yeah, you guys will have that opportunity to get those authenticated, as well as the vintage guys, man. We're going to have a good amount of vintage folks at the show as well.
So I know I've been doing some reading that in the Anaheim Convention Center, there are going to be some people signing autographs. It's not under the Burbank umbrella, correct? But they're going to be Dodger players. Can you explain?
Great question.
Yeah.
Great question. I'm glad. Please bring up anything I missed because there's a lot. Mm-hmm. Big partnership with the Memorabilia Network. We're excited to partner with Harlan and Dan and the team. Harlan's a well-known figure in the sports community outside of the hobby. I mean, this man is years a legend in our industry, and man, he's bringing some key Dodger legends. Mike Scioscia, James Outman, who's a young rising star for the Dodgers, and then of course Fernando Mania, who I'm really excited to meet. Man, a lot of folks do not know he does not sign as much. I didn't even know that. So, man, I mean, an absolute legend. For those of you guys that aren't from Southern California, I mean, this man literally put all of Mexico in hit. Like, this man literally put a lot of folks on. So shout out to my Latino homies, man. And I already got a couple of my friends who aren't even sports card guys, man, but they saw me repost the flyer on Facebook, and they're like, yo, man, I'm going to come to the show. And I basically told him, I was like, dude, I have no control over that line, so don't hit me up. But at the same time, man, we're just very grateful of those three gentlemen that are willing to take time out of their day. A lot of people don't know that's a Dodger game day too. So, guys, if you guys are watching pre-show, make sure you guys schedule accordingly because that Saturday is going to be insane. So make sure you guys get a chance to meet, especially Fernando, man. I mean, dude's an absolute legend. Man, for those of you guys that do not know, I'm not a baseball guy, man. I'm a basketball guy, and I remember I was with Goat, so shout out to my brother Goat City. And I showed Goat. I was like, yo, you think these guys are good for the show? And man, Goat literally had his eyes wide open. He's like, oh, Fernando, me. I was like, man, it's a very humbling experience. And again, we're a card show. We didn't really ever expect to have an autograph guest. But hey, this is something that made sense for us, and we're very happy to be able to service that to our guests.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
Damn, that's gonna be wild. I cannot wait for that one. Oh my! And then you already dropped the venues, right? I mean the maps for all the dealers and everything's all set up, ready to go.
So we're actually working with Gem 10, which is a rising company in our industry, man. Shout out to Billman and the team, man. Great folks. We're excited to partner with them to provide an interactive map for our guests, our vendors, especially for those. So those of you guys that do not know, the map we'll have the interactive map. It'll show you anywhere from the bathroom. It'll show you anywhere from where Starbucks is at, where FD is at, where JD is at, where all you have to do is go through. If you're watching this video, you're going to go see my hand here. You will see an alphabetical list of all the dealers, and I believe they will categorize it as well. I'll double check on that. But that's looking to launch this week before the show. So we're very, very excited to provide that innovative
very much so. Very innovative. Yeah.
Oh my God.
What other announcements may not have been talked about yet, but you would like to unveil here?
I mean, I'll say this. I'm working on some last minute sponsorship deals and some last minute event deals. One of the biggest things that I will unveil here is that we will have some interactive activities outside of just a typical card show. I put myself in the shoes of somebody that, as a friend, may not be a sports. It goes back to me and Flipstar. And Flip took me to this show called the Card Party Show, and it's a TCG show, but it's primarily for kids, right? Mm-hmm. And I literally went there, FD, just for R&D, just to look at the show, see how they utilize their, and it ended up being an experience for me, and I enjoyed it, right? And as a non-TCG collector, JD, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the atmosphere. I got to do some games with folks. I got to do some stuff, and that's stuff that's Sometimes, man, I play the EJ Cool card. Sometimes I'm like, no, I'm too cool for the free stuff, man. I went from that for 30 minutes, and then after that, man, I was getting free T-shirts. I was getting free play mats. I was getting free cards, and it was such a great experience. And to be able to say that we are working on experiences, it has been nothing short of incredible, because there's a lot of shows that just bring up the card shows. They just want to fill up the tables. They just want to be the biggest in Southern California or the West Coast. We're trying to literally create experiences that you may not see at card shows, right? Mm-hmm. So, we're talking about, for myself, having a lounge area where you could just hang out, and a lounge area where, again, we're gonna restrict people from setting up at the lounge area, but at the same time, it's a cool lounge area where you could just kind of chill, like, let's say FD, you're contemplating on a Steph Curry rookie or a James Wiseman rookie, or something, man, and you got to just think you got to go to the lounge real quick and just chill, and then we'll have some interactive games there as well. We'll have a little arcade section there, which is definitely an exclusive for you guys, because we haven't announced that yet. We weren't even going to announce it. We were just going to put it out there, on that Thursday, and people are going to be like, "Oh snap! There's Street Fighter. Let's go play some Street Fighter. Let's go play some NBA Jam. Let's go play some NFL Blitz." So like things like that. That's like it's very small when it comes to a quote unquote profit margin, but it's very big when it comes to someone's experience, right? So, and then of course with the sponsors, all 38 plus sponsors at this show, I was challenging every sponsor. I'm like, look, can we get something for a giveaway? Can we get something for our kids trade day? Can we do something with our kids trade zone? Can we do something with this? And man, most of, if not all of our sponsors have been nothing but accommodating. So just the experience factor of just being able to just, instead of, that the last show, or the first Burbank show was very tight, right? It was very tight. And outside of that, it was just a golf simulator. But, of course, everybody was just having a great time. Ontario, it was a little bit of the same, right? I mean, of course, there was, different other activations, but it was nothing that was like strictly that, right? These activations were to get you to sign up for something, to get you to sign up for a company. These activations are strictly for the guests, and it's strictly for you guys to enjoy, to relax. And then, of course, we'll have a dedicated stage that a new company, a rising company called Hobbsy, is sponsoring that stage. So they'll have a full live interactive experience throughout the whole show. Man, it's those are some key things that I could personally think of on top of my head, just because we're working on it. We're having other activations in place of that. But outside of that, man, it's a card show. So we're going to have all types of things. Card Ladder, one of our core sponsors of the show, and also the Saturday Trade Night sponsor of the show. It just makes sense. Card Ladder, Trade Nights, it just makes sense. So shout out to the team, Christina and the crew. They're going to have a charging station on the second floor for you guys. So for those of you guys that are trying to juice up, man, I mean, look, I know how it is, man. You get cooked by Boosted and Tim, 2 deals in a row. You got to charge your phone sometimes, man. And then you can charge your phone, go back to Boosted, be like, yo, Boosted, let's get another deal done, and then he'll cook you again, man. So, the charging stations is right there, of course. I will say this, man, on the wax side of the spectrum, dude, we had opportunities to bring some heavy wax guys, but make no mistake, man. Shout out to my brother Showtime, Ricky. He's going to be leading up the front row when it comes to the wax. They're looking to bring some pretty crazy stuff outside of the norm. And man, I'm very, very proud of Ricky, because Ricky has supported me since day one. And even outside of the hobby, man, I mean, he's been supporting me, and man, to be able to have him as pretty much our lead wax dealer has been nothing short of incredible. So big shout out to Showtime, Rick, and the gang.
That's gonna be. Go ahead, FD. What else you got for him?
No, I was going to go with you.
Oh, okay. I don't even know how to say this. What did you want to add from the last 2 shows to add to this one that was like you wanted to try out for the first time, or something that you just wanted to do that you thought in the first 2 shows?
I'll tell you some of our negatives of the last show was definitely our POS system. And that was more me, right? And making sure, again, to again, guys, I'm no cap EJ, man. I haven't wore a hat in a long time. I wanted to make sure that numbers wise, from literally, let's say, for example, FD walks in, he's waiting 2 hours in line with G and the gang, Junior, the fam. You know, we, as much as it looks good on a marketing standpoint that we have a line, we're not very proud of that internally. We want to make sure that that line disappears as fast as possible, right? So now we're this is another exclusive. I don't think we've publicized this. Our tickets are going to be QR coded. So we're taking steps to the next level. We have partnered with a company called ShowClicks, which is pretty much a ticket management software company that also partners with Anime Expo and New York Comic Con. And a lot of people don't know, there's a little flex to me, but you know, some of these companies, man, it's a lot harder to get partnerships with because they want to look at past events. They want to look at past ticket sales. You know, again, like exactly, it's you know, you got to prove that you could run with the big dogs. And man, look, man, ShowClicks, they believed in us, and again, man, we're very proud to work with them. And outside of that, I'm sure usually when we do signups for tickets or validate tickets, we usually ask for a confirmation number, or we usually ask for something. So it takes a lot of, you know, it takes a lot of clicking. It takes a lot of this. It takes a lot of that. And even then, man, sometimes that like 10, 20, 30 seconds, it could become a minute. It become 2 minutes. It could become 5 minutes, right? So with the QR code this time around, it's going to take roughly 2 to 5 seconds to literally approve or disapprove your QR. And then all you're going to do is move to the right, get your credentials, and you'll be good to go.
Damn,
That's huge, man.
Yeah, and then in addition to that, the vendor side, we're doing the same thing with the vendor side. Shout out to Sharon Black Jaded Wolf. Shout out to Sharon, man. And I remember she had a podcast that Jay had sent me that I probably wouldn't have listened to. And it was Sharon telling me, and Sharon didn't put me on the spot. So she was just like, I know who that was. I'm not going to call him out. And it was me. And she was basically saying how the dealer registration did take a while, which is true. So what we did is we beefed up our staff. We're going to have 3x the staff that we had last show, which was basically me and a friend. So now this time we're at 6. Again, guys, we're a small business here. So now we're at 6 on that Thursday. JD doesn't know this, but he's going to be one of those 6. And we're really, really excited to get a little bit more techie, man. Our website has been beefed up. A lot of people don't know I have a tech background in web development, so being able to kind of brush off some rust out of my coding system and out of my design system was cool, and then being able to collaborate with some of my programming friends that I have not collaborated with in years, man, it was fun. And then also being able to collaborate on a artistic realm. So this time around, we brought in Julie, pretty much our art director for the show. She's the one that designed the flyer for the show, and then all the different art pieces for the show. Now, I just pretty much gave her a ton of inspirations on Google and what I've seen while drinking boba, and she basically kicked ass at everything I threw at her. She's still working on some last minute things. A lot of people don't know Drew designs just yet, but I'm really trying to put her on, and she's done some incredible designs for other companies, and we're just very blessed to have her.
Damn, you guys going all in this show. You last 2 shows, you guys have
well,
none of this
loaded.
stuff.
EJ's here, y'all.
Jay was talking about how you guys have to hire an extra amount of people to get the tables up, all these things that you guys didn't have back then. Now our
staff has 3x since the last show.
Damn, 3x.
So a lot of people are pocket watching, man. It's the funniest thing, man. People are like, man, EJ this, EJ, you know, Jay gonna get this, Rob this. You know, yeah, I will say this. I'll publicly say this. Rob is the richest out of all of us. So if you guys want to pocket watch the Card Father, okay? I still got the same Seiko 007 watch I bought in 2018 for $120, okay? So it's not a Submariner. I'm not there yet. So, you know, I'll get there one day. You know, I'll get to Prevail Tim and Flipstar level. But at this time, man, I'm just humble EJ, man. FD, after we hire you and JD, this might become a Timex after tonight. So, you know, a lot of people don't know this. I got to pay FD and JD to get into these shows.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
You know, it takes a while, man. We have a marketing budget, but it's not that much, guys. It's not that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
But yeah. Outside of that, man, we beefed up our staff. We're very proud of that. Look, it takes money to make money, right? And you gotta pay to play, right? So look, we're in Anaheim. We wanted to partner with the best. That's why we brought in ShowClicks. That's why we brought in. I'm not going to call our dealer processing company the best, because we got to talk to them afterwards, because they're definitely not the best. But outside of that, we want to partner with the best. Anaheim PD was a no questions asked, no non-negotiable. We wanted to make sure that we partner with the Anaheim PD. And guys, by the way, but when I say we partner, we make sure that this isn't a one-time transaction. Hey, look, offer us this. This is like straight communication with Anaheim PD. Like I'm going to say this publicly right now, guys. This isn't the show to mess around inside. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you guys.
Everybody should know that. Yeah.
Everything is well, before you come in, you're wanded. You know, and we're very proud of that. We're very, very proud of that. Look, I'm not here to fight on politics and what you believe. You could believe whatever you want to believe, but at the Burbank Card Show and whenever EJ's running a show, safety is top priority at my show.
I love it, EJ.
And I'm not saying that to just put my show over. I'm saying that because, guys, like, you know, look, the financial sense of this is you know, of course, there's millions and millions and millions of dollars inside that second floor alone. But guys, there's kids out there that are just here to enjoy the show. There's folks out here that are just really trying to enjoy the show. All that stuff that's out the window, guys, like, that's not like, we don't have space for that at the Burbank Card Show. We're very, very straightforward with that. Regardless of, I don't care if you're the best, you're the most known dealer in this game. I don't know I don't really care at this point. If you're a safety hazard to our show, not only to our show, to our community, it's a no questions asked. You're out of here. You know, and that's kind of one of the biggest things I wanted to put out there. Now, look, people are like, oh, what happened? There's nothing to happen. There's nothing and we're very grateful of that, FD. Yes, there's been a couple cards that that's been misplaced, right? And there's been a couple cards and that's honestly, guys, that's something that is more a conversation with the dealers, because I tell dealers all the time, and especially with the dealer, the vendor instructions that we're emailing out, guys, take care of your cards. You know, I remember I was seeing Contrast cards. Shout out to Contrast, one of the rising YouTubers in our game and content creators. Contrast, I remember he had a video that basically said, look, if you have your highest value card should be literally where you're at, right? So if you have 3 showcases and you're on the right showcase, your highest value card should be there, right? And he's not just saying that on the sense of because you're trying to deal that card. He's saying that because of dude, you can't trust everybody. I see guys all the time, like JD, FD, I'm sure you guys see that. Oh, I want to see that card. Okay, cool, done. And he turns around. I'm just like, dude.
And walks away. Yeah.
That's your valuable, right? But we are doing our part as well. You know, again, Anaheim PD, but we will have private security as well. Our private security has beefed up in this show. And, you know, I hate to say this publicly, guys, but this will be one of the harder places to switch your passes. I will be very honest with you guys. That wasn't my call. Look, I'm not a saint here. I am all basis EJ. I am not the you know, cast the first stone. I will not be that guy. But the higher ups above me, they told me that, hey, look, guys, you know, we're gonna have to beef up on the passes. And you know, I was gonna show off the passes. Let me see if I can step out real quick and grab a quick pass. But you know, that's an exclusive. I could show that too.
Sure, you sent pictures of it earlier this week.
I don't think I've sent the whole thing, but yeah, finishing up on the security standpoint, man, you know, we're going to be beefed up. We're really, really excited for that. And at the same time, man, I just think that that's a priority. You know, I feel like even if, especially for you guys that are running smaller shows that may not have the budgets of a Burbank or a National or Mint Collective, you know, there's no shame in asking your dealers, like, hey, look out for each other, right? I mean, look, Newport show, I will say this, my first show, right? I asked some of my off-duty officer friends, like, hey, if you guys can, like, you know, just hang out, and they did that for me. Like, you got to start somewhere, right? And not everyone could afford a 6-figure ticket on security, but at the same time, being able to vocalize that and being able to communicate with your vendors and being able to do that, you'd be very surprised how long that goes a long way.
Damn. I can believe it.
JD, man, look. All right. I've been ready, guys, man. I've been ready. But I'm very, very, I will say this too, man. Like, it goes back to even like media, right? And that's how important it is to be a part of What's the Flavor, or to be a part of Jeremy Lee's podcast, which I'm going to hop on to on Saturday. And I'm really, really excited of that, because you want to vocalize that and communicate not just our show, but also other shows in the country. A lot of people don't know this, is that like, dude, like we need other shows. We need other shows. It's not just Burbank, National, Dallas. Like, we need other shows, guys. Like, a lot of people don't understand that this community is growing. If you have a show in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, run that show. Be the best show you could be in Oshkosh. Like, be the best show you could be in Calabasas. You know, like, that would be a very expensive show. Drake might pull up, but that might be a very expensive show. But outside of that, conquer your area, and I'm saying that right now, man. If you guys need any help, man, hit me up. I'm gonna charge you guys $1,000 an hour, but other than that, be more than happy to help, guys.
Yeah, damn. Can you show us what are the perks of like the all access and the VIPs and all that? Did you guys announce that yet?
Yeah, so I'm trying to find it. I think my wife took it. I'm gonna step out for a little bit, but show it to you guys. But basically, we brought back the 3-day pass, which was something that was geared towards more folks that aren't exactly gonna want to come Thursday, nor do they really care about that extra 2 hours or hour, right? By the way, 3-day passes, you guys still have to wait in line to get in. A lot of people don't know that. So, but the VIP pass, it allows you to get in early, right, an hour before every show, and then it also gives you that Thursday preview night. And then, of course, there's going to be a ton of perks. Tag Grading is sponsoring the VIP perk for the second time. And for those of you guys that do not know, Tag Grading, they love to give, man. They're the Santa Claus of grading companies. So they're going to have a free this, free that, and Tag is really awesome. I'm very grateful for them for doing that. And then, of course, our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday tickets, which are still available for pre-sale. They're going to be our pre-sale tickets are going to close on I believe it's going to close on the 31st. So make sure you guys take advantage of our pre-sales, because we're going to have 2 different lines. We're going to have will call, and we're going to have we're going to have the line to get in, and then we're going to have will call and general admission. So we're still finalizing that with the city. Again, working with the city. Our partner is Anaheim, guys. So it's me, Jay, Rob, and Anaheim. So we're working with them to make sure it's the best process possible, right? So and then, of course, all access. That's for the very rich and wealthy guys. Like, I don't even have that pass. That's more for the flip stars of the world, and the JDs and FDs. Man, I don't have that pass. So it's all good.
All right.
Damn. You got what, 900 vendors, right? How is the stress, like, not the stress, but the challenge of just getting all that in compared to the last 2 shows? Was it more challenging, or was it just straightforward because it's the third one?
So, I'll say this. So it was a bit challenging because, again, we're a month after the National.
Mm-hmm. And
it was a bit challenging because folks weren't necessarily understanding the whole 1 to 2 floor situation. And again, I'll take full fault of that as director of the show. And again, it goes back to FD, what I had mentioned earlier, communication, right? And being able to communicate with folks. But one thing I am proud of is our core dealers, right? Because our core dealers bought into this. We had 450 pre-sales by Mid Collective.
Damn.
And to be able to max out, we're at 693 on the top floor of sports car dealers. Now that's tables, that's not vendors. Some of these vendors share tables. Some of these guys are subletting, right? And I know that's a conversation for another day. At our show at the moment, we do allow subletting just because of the fact that hey, we understand, friends want to be with friends, all that stuff. I'm not saying that we're going to keep it that way at the next show, because things are getting a little difficult when you get up from 20 tables to 1,000, right? So at the same time, formality is everything, and we want to make sure, again, we want to be as business minded, right, and as community minded, but we also don't want to be so heavenly minded that we're not earthly worth, right? And we want to make sure that at the very least we understand all of our dealers. And we want to make sure we listen to all advice, not just from the dealers, actually, it's from everybody. You know, we take full criticism on everything. And again, we're a startup as well, guys. We're a small business, and we're trying our best to understand what works, what doesn't work. But the one thing that I will say is that Jay has done an incredible job at that. I already alluded that earlier, but at the same time, we've done all we can to really build this to where the process is as good as it could be.
Damn. I don't. Oh shit! I don't even know what else you got, FD.
I don't know if I have more questions. I mean, this is well thought
You
through.
already ran on his little rant in the beginning. That's why.
This is a well thought through process. This is a well orchestrated show. I mean, I told JD before that when I walked in Ontario and we went through security, that I turned to G and Junior like, you know, this is a real deal. You know, it's a place where you want to bring your family, you want to bring people. You know, once you get in there, you're amongst like-minded folks about having fun, being a part of the community, looking at cards, doing other things, having an arcade area and areas where you can hang out. And I know, and even if I'm just thinking ahead, if I say, hey, I want to go over here and look at this Jason Tatum card, you know, Junior and them, I want to go do something else. And then we can split up and go do that and have fun.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, this is well thought through. And it reminds me of like, even if you go to a sporting event, if you notice now every stadium has, you can go see the game and then there's restaurants, shops, other things around in case that family wants to split up and go do something else, they can. I love that aspect because I can tell you, Junior's 7, you bring him in 30 minutes, he's wiped out. He's overwhelmed.
Oh, man.
And he wants to go do something where he can organize himself and have fun and relax and chill and throw a ball or play a video game or do whatever. And it makes it fun for everybody instead of me feeling like, oh, I'm taking him somewhere where he's spent in about an hour and then I got to keep him here 3 more hours. So for Burbank to think of families, we appreciate that.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you, FD. I mean, we appreciate families, and you know, I'm not a parent myself, but I'm an uncle. I'm a proud uncle, and my nephew. For those of you guys that do not know, my nephew, he cooks at all the premiere shows, and man, he even cooked Uncle Tim a couple times. Man, I felt bad for Uncle Tim. I think he took his gas money, but you know, again, look, like what FD says, man, about Junior. You know, some of these kids, man, are just different, right? So, you know, we want to make sure it's again, goes back to the Kids Zone. Shout out to Sports Card Investor and the team, man, the incredible team over there. They're running the Kids Zone in their booth, which is Friday and Sunday. And then of course, Mama Breaks is hosting our Kids Trade Day. And man, it's an incredible time to really just kind of gear up as a kid. Can you imagine? It just has FD, how old's Junior? Like, what is he,
7.
7?
Okay. He'll be 8 soon. And I told him before, I went to my first show in Chicago at 13. I couldn't imagine being at a show at 7. And just, I think the savviness of what we see young people today, cutting deals, understanding comps, collection. They're pulling fire out of their cases and talking to you in detail about the athlete. It wasn't like that in my day.
You know, it's funny how you mentioned that, FD. Like, whenever someone brings up, you know, are you worried about somebody? Are you worried about this? Are you worried about that? I'm just like, man, you know, I'm worried about that 20-year-old kid that's running a 16-table card show in Connecticut.
Yep.
And that kid goes from 16 to 48, 48 to 150. And all it takes for him is to move Connecticut to New York City. Mm-hmm. And all it takes, because I was that kid, you know, and I was that kid that that Diamond 9 said to not do my local shows because it's on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. And mind you, I was just trying to help my buddies out. A lot of people don't know Newport Showcase started because of my business partners, DJ and Ryan. And I turned it down a couple times. I never imagined myself being a sports card dealer. I remember I just wanted to be Ultimate Pastimes Mark, man. I just wanted to be like my idol, man. I wanted to be like my big homie Mark, man, and not be a dealer. And it wasn't until Pat told me, like, no, man, being a dealer is different. And in 2020, I tried dealing and buying my own table. And even then, I think it was like $60 a table. I was like, $60, like, you know, I don't know. And man, to be able to be a dealer all over the country at a ton of shows has been nothing short of humbling and incredible. And then on the card show side, guys, like dude, I was scared to fill my first Newport Showcase show. My business partners were like, we could fill 90 tables. I'm like, I don't even know if we could fill 50, you know? And I remember, and I have notes, like literally have notes of, you know what, let me invite FD. Let me invite JD. You know, let me, you know,
And you
these
took
guys
care
are
of us.
trying.
When we came to the Newport show, you took care of us.
Yeah, man. I mean, look,
yeah, took care of
yeah,
us.
and like, look, guys, like, don't worry about the guys that are now. Don't look at me and don't look at Rob. Don't look at Jay and don't look at Burbank and just be like, dude, those guys are killing it. I don't think I could ever reach that far. Like, I would love to get to that point where there's a kid watching right now that maybe that's his side hustle is cards, right? And to be able to see, look, guys, like, I'm proud to be full time in cards. Like, it's an incredible. And you know what I'm even more proud of is Pat is full time in this now, man, working with Coffee Breakers and Rizzo Sports. Like, dude, I'm very proud of that because we started from the ground, man. We didn't have those same stories where our mommy and daddy had cards. Like we were very passionate about this. Frankensons was our nationals. Like it was our thing, right? And to be able to kind of see it now, Pat and I talk every day, and it just never a conversation without the whole thing of like, man, we're blessed, you know. And again, it goes back to what I was saying, where I'm not afraid of these other guys, man. Look, guys, I talk to every company that is big or small, including the Big F. I talk with them. There was no one else that I pour more effort to, and I don't say that to disrespect the big box companies, but these big box companies, you look at their emails, there's 20 people on the email. You know, they have a full team, guys. Like, these are billion-dollar companies, million-dollar companies, right? But the Gem 10s of the world, right? You're talking about the Hobbsies of the world where they're startups. These are companies that literally, God only knows that they poured so much money. Some of these companies have took out their 401ks. And that's not even companies. I'm talking about company, one guy, right? And for me to be able to yes, have a sponsorship deck, but also work out deals for these companies so that they could be put on. Tag Grading, their first show officially was our show. And a lot of people don't know this. They took over for another grading company that is no longer relevant. And at the time, they were, I believe this company, I'll say, I don't fuck. HGA was that company.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
And I tell this story all the time. Dude, HGA sent us, there was an agency that represented HGA and they had contacted me and it was great. And then literally at the very end, it just kind of like ghosted us. And this was our first show. And I remember I was telling Rob, and a lot of people don't know this, Rob's, you know, as much as Rob is the card father, Rob has a big heart. And, you know, you turn away from that, man, like Rob takes that to heart. And I don't say that to make it seem like Rob's weak. I say that as in Rob cares about this industry. You know, there is no one near, you know, besides Dr. Beckett, who remembered my name. Thank God, man. Jim Beckett, to know my name, man. I was like, I could die now. I could die now, man. I remember I told Dr. Beckett, I was like, Dr. Beckett, I used to buy your magazines at Walgreens, and sure enough, Dr. Beckett hit me with the whole, hey, can you pass the ketchup, AJ? And I was like, oh, okay, Dr. Beckett, I'll pass the ketchup. You know, it's okay, man. Don't worry about it. But we'll get to EJ. We'll get there. A, B, C, D. You know, but going back to that, man, look, the Jim Beckett's of the world, like, Rob loves this industry, guys. I mean, there's a lot of money we passed up on because of Rob loving this industry. And I will have my brothers back, and I'll let them know, like, dude, yo, we passed on this, and I hope we get it back. But at the same time, yo, this industry ain't going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could leave. Jay could leave. FD, JD, we could all leave. But guess what? Rob's still going to be here. He loves this shit, guys. Like, you guys don't understand, man. Like people, I travel with Rob, right? And I'll see guys be like, yo, look at my $18 million card, man. And then he's just this collector where he gives it to Rob and he's doing the whole salt poppy look. He's just, You know, man, Cardfather don't give me my respect. You know, this and that. And you know what Rob does? Rob goes, that's cool. Talk to Ryan. Walks away, bro, with his Coors Light. And then when a kid comes up to him and the kid's like, hey, Cardfather, like, I'm a big collector of Rajon Rondo. And Rob will pour effort into someone that potentially won't give him no more than $100. And just like the amount of, and same with Jay, right? I call him the big grump, right? I'm probably the meanest out of all three of us. I just realized that. But those two are just very giving folks. And to be able to say that publicly without lying to you guys and just using this as a marketing facade. I mean, dude, there's times where Rob and I have got into it, and Rob at the end of the day has told me, EJ, we'll see it through. And it's like having that like kind of father figure or dad or big bro figure. And I'm just like, this old head dude, he don't understand what he's talking about. And sure enough, it happens. You know, Rob's the guy that I could send 10, 20 emails until I'll get a reply back. Rob will literally send an email and says, hey, what's up, Cardfather? And he'll get a reply back on a phone call. That's the type of power that Rob has. And that's not a power that you buy. That's not a power that you could buy influencers with. I call Rob the influence of the influencers. You know, Rob is the pinnacle. You know, a lot of people get annoyed, me too, when Rob says, we're the epicenter, we're this, we're that. Look, our tagline for Burbank Card Show is the epicenter, right? But I will say this, Rob's the pillar in our industry, you know, and I take that very, I almost to a point where I somewhat take it to heart when these corporate sponsors kind of lax down on him. And I'm just like, why? Because if you look at any other industry, you look at the sneaker industry, you look at the tech industry, all the legacy guys, the sports industry, all the legacy guys are taken care of. Whenever there's an NBA top 50, right? Those guys are taken care of. Or I'm sorry, top 75. Those guys are held. And I know what I'm talking about, guys. I used to work with corporate companies on the marketing side. And there used to be guys that will be like, oh, that's old man Jenkins. And then the head guy will be like, no. We respect that man. We will do whatever for that man. And you know, Rob and Jay are just, in my opinion, are pillars in this industry. I'm just a young guy. You know, being able to study those guys and being able to study a national, being able to study, you know, some of these card shows that has came before us. I mean, it's a lot of people don't know. I used to fly out to go to the smaller shows just to check it out. And I used to get a lot more R&D from the smaller shows than I did from a bigger show. And it's things that I've incorporated with my shows. So yeah, man, it's things like that I always kind of take to heart.
Man, damn, this dude EJ going in. This is crazy. I always tell FD this, the progression that you started from to now where you're at is just like insane. Like you could go for hours just talking about your story and how you just came from, like you said, Newport all the way to here. You know, so it's just like insane. And if you guys don't follow EJ, like he gives, when you go out, you could tell you're going out for a reason. Like when you went to Collecticon, I was like, he's doing something. There's no reason. He just random Sunday just going. I was like, he up to something. And literally, you know, you already got that.
Even WrestleMania, like I was R&D in it. Now, full disclosure, I didn't use the company credit card for WrestleMania, guys. Okay, I'm gonna hit you guys with that, man. Don't snitch on me with Ryan and Sally. I didn't use the company credit card, Steve, but I used it for snacks. But R&D, even at WrestleMania, I made sure, like, hey, like that banner is right there, you know, or this.
Can you explain what R&D is for everybody? So they
R&D, research and development.
Okay.
Sorry, research and development. I'm a college dropout myself, guys. I'm just faking it till I make it. But yeah, a lot of research and development and like what you said, JD, like going to a Collecticon, going to other shows. And a lot of people hit this, oh, you're stealing, you're stealing ideas from shows. And I'm just like, no, you're supposed to. I want people to steal my ideas. I want people to steal my ways of how I do business.
Well, they kind of are.
I think it's a compliment whenever I see something like, yo, that sounds like What's the Flavor? That looks like a What's the Flavor type of podcast. Yeah. Or you're biting off of FD. I'm like, dude, no, I'm inspired by FD. You know, and that's how I look at it. You know, there's no. I'm gonna cap when I say this. There's not a hating bone in my body, but I will also tell you the truth. There's one right here. So, but outside of that, man, like get inspired, guys. I mean, get inspired by those that are not only in the forefronts, but also get inspired by other industries. Look at what works for other industries. Look, if it doesn't work, throw it away. Focus on another one. And like I think JD was trying to put my personal page on. A lot of people don't know this is a special announcement. I'm getting into the content ranks, guys. So bear with me. I'm excited. I have some cool partners that I'm excited to strategize with, and these are partners that are outside of our industry, and they're trying to get in within. So we're excited to share the business side of the content industry. So really, really excited to be a part of that. Plus, I'm just really jealous of some of these content creators like FD, man. You guys get all the special perks, man. You guys get all the free passes.
Don't be jealous, DJ. That's work on the side of that.
Man, I'm calling Dallas Card Show Leo. I called Leo. Leo, can I get a pass? Leo's like, hey, bro, you can get a pass at DallasCardShow.com. And then he winks at me. And I'm just like, damn, man, I ain't there yet. But no, man, I'm truthfully speaking, on a serious note, I'm really, really excited to share that. Just because to be able to share, like, hey, how do you work for a PSA? How do you get to a point where you get to start your own company, right? How do you align yourself to be able, and on the back end of that was, you've been with a Tops for 20 years. How does that look? You know, like I love stories like that. Like FD, why did you start your podcast? You know, it goes back to my Talk Shop podcast that, sadly, because of time and just being so busy with everything, I didn't get a chance to launch season 2. And I'm more than happy to say that we're launching that post show, and it's going to be something.
It was a great podcast.
And FD, I was doing it selfishly, to be really frank with you guys. Like, I was doing this to kind of understand the back end with some of my friends, and literally seeing like what do you do that, how did you get to that point? How did you get to this point? And I'm more than excited to get on that ranks. I don't know the whole format of it just yet. But I'm gonna definitely hit the gym, try to lose some weight, and trying to get back to tip top EJ shape until I could get to that point. But until then, guys, like really, really want to encourage folks. Like, look, man, if you have any sort of touch of success, share it. Being able to share. I think that's one thing that's lacking in our industry. There's a lot of how-tos, right? But there's not a lot of like, this is how I did it. And especially in our industry, there's a lot of like, this is how I made 100,000 today. I'm just like, I made 100,000 in the last, year. And I'm just like, well, how did you do it? Break it down, and I think being able to share things like that outside of the norm would be cool.
Damn, that's great. Can you talk about that Project Dynasty you launched a month ago or something? Because everybody has an idea. It's like an agency, right? Because you just launched it.
So Project Dynasty is just basically my holding company. Basically, what Project Dynasty is it not only holds Dynasty mode, but it holds all future events. Wink, wink. And these are events that are already being planned. We're going to collaborate with some of your favorite brands, and these aren't just card show events. These are events like, hey, we're going to do a mixer here. We're going to do this event at UCLA. With the UCLA Bruins basketball program, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. FD. I had a meeting. I'm not going to say which NBA team, but it may or may not be your favorite team. And I will say this: I had a call with them, and for the first 30 minutes, all I thought about was FD. And I'm just like, I got to get this done for FD. I got to get this done. So we're gonna hopefully in due time, man, we'll be able to collaborate with some of these companies, even outside of our industry, right? And being able to host events that is outside the norm of a card show or even just a card activation. So we're very, very excited about that. And then, of course, I'm looking to collaborate with some of your favorite startup brands. And we're really, really excited to work not just on a consulting standpoint, but also on a partnership standpoint. So very, very excited to kind of take my entrepreneurship level of experience to be able to share it to folks and again, guys, I don't take this lightly. Like a lot of people don't know this. Look at my hair, guys. I've been on this desk for the past 12 hours. It's insane. I got 2 water bottles. I'm ready to go. I even got some Pokemon cards for Collecticon. Like it's wild. Like it's insane, guys. Like I have 2. Why do I have 2 iPads? This is our POS. We're just testing it. But guys, I don't take work lightly. Like I put 110% in this, and the reason for that is because I really am living a dream job, and that's how I ultimately see it that way. Is look, it's one of the hardest. Running a card show is the hardest job in this industry. I mean, outside of being Michael Rubin, which looks like it's pretty easy. I followed his personal page, and he's in freaking Greece or something, you know. So outside of that, man, like. Being able to be in this industry is a huge blessing. And I'm not saying that just on a full-time standpoint. Anyone from you guys who, I'm sure you guys clock out of work and you guys do this. I'm really blessed that you guys even want me to be at this show because, dude, I get to not only hang out outside of the podcast that I'm doing, outside of What's the Flavor. I mean, look, I have a personal relationship with you guys. You guys are technically friends of mine. So, we could talk smack, we could talk about sports, we could talk about this and that. But also the business side of it is like we kind of tune back and we're like, you know what? This is for the greater good of our hobby.
That's
so,
right.
yeah.
Damn. Whew, I'm excited. Almost tomorrow's going to be a week away. So, I mean, what other...
I'm not even there yet, man. I'm in Vegas. I got to get a rental car. I haven't booked that yet. So I got to figure that out.
So any more last minute things you got to tweak or everything's ready to go?
No, man, we've done everything that we can. We've done everything that we can. I mean, I'm working on some last minute things, but it's more, I will leak this. We will have a Dynasty mode booth. I'm really, really excited for that. Oh man, JD, when you see that joint, you're going to be like, that's such an EJ booth. That's an EJ booth.
Are you hinting something behind you? That's why? Is that what you're going to bring out?
It's not the collection. I'm very proud of my Enter Bay collection, but it's funny, man. I used to go to bait all the time when I was broke. A lot of people don't know this, man. I was homeless for 6 months. I used to live in my car, and I was, and that was by choice, by the way. I didn't tell any of my family members. I didn't ask for any of my family members' help. I was running a startup company, which was in turn my web development company that I recently sold. And man, I used to go to bait. I don't know if you guys remember. If you guys are familiar with bait, Diamond Bar, and they used to have the Enter Bay figures. And for those of you guys that do not know, Enter Bay figures are very detailed NBA 6-scale figures, and these are very, very expensive figures, guys. I highly suggest to put your money in 401ks and Roth IRAs. Don't be like EJ and buy trading cards and toys. But I remember, there used to be a shop. It sadly closed down because of COVID, but I used to have to take a shower at Crunch Fitness. And I would take a shower, and this isn't an inspirational thing whatsoever. Take it as it is, guys. Like, this is my life. I can say it as it is. And I used to shower at Crunch Fitness, and then I used to go to my office, and that's where I would sleep sometimes, right? And I would couch surf. I'd do whatever I can, but I'd sleep. And I remember I'd go on the weekends. I'd like to kind of treat myself out a little bit, so I'll get myself a little diner type of meal. And on across the street, there used to be a collectible store, and I used to stop by there and just look at all the Gundams, look at all this stuff, and mind you, this wasn't that far away, guys. This was 2015, and a lot of people don't know this, man. I've touched a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money, and that's why I think I have that confidence of being able to be a little bit bullish and a little bit, for lack of a better term, confident in my work, because I've been through the gutter, I've been through the ground and going through some of these toys, man, like being able to see things that I couldn't afford, man, to literally there was to a point, and I'm not saying this to flex, guys, like being able to go from California to Vegas to now, when you hit on Diamond Bar, you exit off that exit to Diamond Bar and you go to bait, and then I'll try to pick up a nice Jordan Enter Bay piece. I'll try to pick up something that's kind of rewarding to myself. And looking back at that, we were in our garage, and my cousin who works for me, he was going through our garage because it was just filled with toys, man. You guys don't understand, man. I didn't have shit 8 years ago, guys. I didn't have shit. I had nothing but $120,000 in debt and credit cards, and I had nothing but that in my car, you know. And to now have, dude, it's the wildest thing, man. I live a great life, you know, and it's things like that that, you know, I think that, you know, it keeps you humble. You know, it kind of keeps you humble, and you know, even with the show, man, like the show it's very stressful, but at the same time, it's like, damn, man, this guy's from Korea. He's flying out to the show. Like, there's a guy from Australia. There's a team coming from Australia that's flying out from the show, and it's things like that that's just like it keeps you humble, right? It keeps you humble, and but yeah, no, I went on a tangent of that.
No, you're
I wanted to bring up the story.
But yeah, we're not bringing this, but we're bringing something else, and we're very, very proud of that, and we're partnering too with 2 awesome companies that you guys are very familiar with. I can't announce them just yet, but until then, it's going to be a cool partnership.
Yeah, real quick. I know you didn't touch on it, but you kind of like you are inspiring to everybody because I remember you posted something where you had to make like a meeting. Or I don't know if it's 100% accurate, so don't quote me on it. But you had a meeting, right? And it was like your last, I don't know, you're on your last like dollar or whatever, and you had to go to the meeting. The guy didn't show up. You paid his the lunch.
He's showing up at the show.
Yeah,
He's showing up at the show.
And then he said, and then you had to pay for the ticket because you had to run back down.
Yep.
I remember. So I was just like, man, that if everybody doesn't know EJ personally like how we do, he's gone through a lot. So for him to be where he's at, you guys just, I always call him free game EJ. So whenever you see him, ask him something. He's gonna tell you.
Yeah, man. I mean, guys, I'm an open book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's funny in an industry where folks look at cards, you know, and they judge you by your card or they judge you by your collection and this, that. Man, I met some of the best people in the world that are value box guys. I was a value box guy, you know, like there's this one guy. I'm going to tell that story real quick, JD, if you guys have time. But there's a quick story. There was one guy that came up to me right in front of my wife and Sally, who's Rob's wife. And he came up to me at the last show and he goes, "Hey, do you know who I am?" I'm like, "Nope, don't know who you are, man, but how can I help you?" He's like, "Dude, I go to all the shows. I have $1 million in cards, and you know, I'm a top tier dealer. You know, I'd love to be a part of the show." And I was like, "That's great. Go to the website."
Fuck.
You know, and like, you know, he looked at me, and ever since then, I saw him at the last national. He gave me kind of a little stare, and like, look, guys, I don't mean to make enemies, right? But you don't come up to me right in front of my wife and Sally and all my staff, you know, all of our staff, and just be like, "I'm a millionaire." I'm just like, what are you trying to do, bro? You know? And that's what I realized.
You know, there's a lot of potential flexing going on.
There's a lot of flexing going on. I'm like, dude, like I think of a, you know, I'm gonna shout out a couple people, man. I could think of a guy named Miguel Domin 824, the greatest Kobe collector. I heard about other names. No, he's the greatest Kobe collector because he truly does love Kobe. This man has been, and he's a humble AF guy, man. That's my guy. That's my brother for life. Man, he believed in me when him and Dennis, too legit, they came up to me and be like, "Look, I have this idea, the Mamba tribute." And he believed in my show. He believed in the Burbank show as far as trusting millions of dollars in cards into a facility. Like, that's someone that I truly respect. You're talking about guys that PC, their PC is not much more than $100, but they go to every show. They just are consistent. Some of these guys just go to shows. A lot of people, I will say this as a secret, guys. Some of us come to shows just to hang, just to kind of hang. And that's a miss. That's something that's not really marketed. It's just like, dude, hang out with cool people, man. Like, some of my, some of my best friends, some of my best friends are people that I met in this industry, man. These are lifelong friends of mine. And you know, outside of that, man, is being able to just being a part of just this industry is cool, man. It has its struggles, yes. I mean, yes, of course, there's drama. There's people that like to start stuff, and that's great. But at the same time, like, it's really the community that makes it all worthwhile.
Damn.
Very true.
My goodness. What else?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
dude, I'm so sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm blabbing. But quick story on that one. Going back to what JD was alliterating to with that story, I basically was trying to start different startup companies and this and that. And I had a buddy whose father was he was basically a hedge fund, a manager, and he took a liking in me, and he basically told me, "EJ, you have one golden ticket, and that golden ticket is basically you could have one meeting with me." So I cashed out that one ticket on a an idea. I'm not. Looking back, it's a very dumbass idea. But I basically told him I made this pitch deck. Literally took 3 weeks to make this pitch deck, and I met with him in Beverly Hills. And this man was a very prominent man in the tech space. I met with him in Beverly Hills in a very, very nice restaurant. And if you guys don't know, in Beverly Hills, you got to find parking, right? And you gotta pay that $30 FDJD. You guys live in LA, you guys know how it is. I didn't have enough money for the parking. I didn't have a credit card. I was maxed out all my cards. I didn't have anything, right? So I had 10 bucks to my name, or 16 bucks to my name. And no, actually I was like 10 bucks. And then I lived in Long Beach at the time. So a lot of people don't know Beverly Hills and Long Beach does not cost $10.
Good luck.
It doesn't
Yeah.
cost $10. So I parked my car at the residential area where there was the permits.
The
You
permits.
have to have a permit to park here. And at the time, man, I was just like, I was young EJ, man. I still had a 6-pack and everything, man. I was still in good shape. So I was like, you know what, man, I could run this real quick hour meeting, knock it out, and I'll be good. And sure enough, man, I parked my car 2 blocks away. I get to the place, and I had thought that it was one of my best meetings. I have a ton of meetings, guys. I have had a ton of meetings my whole life. I've had great meetings, I've had bad meetings. This, in my opinion, top 5 was my best performing meeting ever. I was very, very precise with everything, from the P&Ls to how this business is going to work. His ideas is so that his son, who was graduating from Beverly Hills High School, was going to take this business over, and then I would sell it back to them, basically, is what I'm trying to say, right? So anyways, he just wanted an idea like that. He looks at me and he's like, and I'm just like, that feeling when you're just like, you had a great date or you had a great meeting and you're just like, yo, this is going to work. Or in sports car terms, the guy's just like, and you're just like, oh, this deal's closing. Sure enough, he goes, you know what, EJ, great idea. Not for me.
Oh, fuck.
But how are you doing? Literally ends that conversation. We talked for about 20 minutes about literally, I don't know if you guys don't know this, Julius Randle was the rookie at the time. He was still I think it was either him or Russell. Getting those two mixed up. But anyways, so he was just talking about the Lakers, dude. And in my head, bro, I was just looking at him and I'm just like, I got to get the fuck out of here because my car is parked, where it's at. So I literally get the bill and I see $400. And I'm like, FD, you got to understand, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I don't know. And sure enough, man, this dude literally takes his Amex card, takes it out, and he goes, EJ, thank you so much for your time. Hey, let's stay in touch. If there's anything else that you need from me, stay in touch. And that was it, man. I didn't talk to that guy for literally 4 or 5 years, dude. And I literally jetted out of that restaurant, and I saw the tow truck, and the tow truck was coming straight at my car and literally just jetted into the car, took off, man, and just sped out of Long Beach, out of Beverly Hills, man. I got to a point where I think it was like getting to E, so I kept my $10. A lot of people don't know this. For all you broke folks that have Chase, sorry Chase if you're watching, but if you have $10 in your checking account, if you go to Arco, and I feel like I'm gonna go to jail saying this, but you go to Arco and then you fill up your tank. You have 7 days to pay that back without an overdraft, because Arco pays the. So, dude, I used to have that. I used to do that all the time, man. And
fuck, I might start doing that.
don't do that. Okay, guys, hold on. Full disclosure, guys, don't do that. Don't do that, guys. Be responsible. But at the same time, for a while, man, that was my what the cool
That was your hack?
That was my jigs. Yeah. So, and I made it FD, but guess what, man? Like, I didn't have no Carl's Jr. dollar chicken sandwiches for like a couple days. So.
But these are the stories, though. There are many things you can read. EJ is giving his testimony about people who are going through and working to be successful at ideas. And they have a story to tell. I always talk about it at home here and in general, people that I know about life lessons. You could be 70 years old and have few life lessons and have more opinions based upon something more than what you have experienced. And it's good to hear someone's story like EJ that is real that is telling you about, hey, I had aspirations to do something, but I also had trials and tribulations along the way. I had to overcome obstacles to keep my dreams alive. But even while all this is going on, if you listen to this story, he's really trying to get something done here on a positive note and speak to someone about a business plan that he has while he's still going through people. So these are the real life stories that end up in success because people had the wherewithal to not quit, not give up, no matter what they're going through at the time. And I'm a firm believer in that. So thank you.
Man.
I appreciate you for saying that to everyone.
Yeah, man. And again, look, I'm not saying this at any other podcast. You guys are friends of mine, and that's why I'm very candid and very open to that. So very, very appreciative that you guys even allow me to do this because, man, it's awesome to share testimonies, guys. You know, outside of, you know, whatever you believe religion-wise and whatever you believe, anything else, man, just, man, like everyone has a story. You know, everyone has started somewhere. So, you know, don't look at me and just say, well, man, EJ just did this, EJ just did that. I'm like, bro, man, I started at the bottom, bro. So it's funny. You know, funny. Some kid came up to me. He goes, man, this show whack. He was talking about Premiere. And I'm like, what? What you mean? And at first I was just like, hey, you right. But he was talking about the Arcadia show. He was talking about the Arcadia show.
Oh, damn.
Like, what do you mean it's whack? He goes, man, it's too crowded. I'm like, bruh, what you mean it's whack? Too crowded? Bro, when me and JD first started, a 20-table show was dope.
Yeah, going to Jimmy's was solid. You know what I mean? Just being at Jimmy's was solid. So,
dude, every time if Coleman was at the show, it was a great show. It was a dope show, right? If great writer was at the show, man, it was a great show, right? Now, man, these kids are spoiled, man. They're like, man, it's not Burbank. It's not Burbank. I was like, bro, I run Burbank. Don't put me on the spot, bro. Don't put me on the spot. I went to, man, look, going back to the whole, you know, I'm going to say this publicly, man. Big shout out to Wiley, Union Marketplace. There was a situation that happened with Union. I will say this, man. Wiley called me. And a lot of people don't know this, man. I look up to Wiley, bro. I mean, like, Wiley is, I'd say, the biggest inspiration to how I run things. Not only with shows, but how I do business. And the one thing I will say this is he called me, you know, and instead of assuming, you know, instead of doing this, look, man, I'm a red-blooded Filipino, man. So I'm very big on this, man. I'm very big on this rule. My name is my name. You know, look, I'm all for the fun and games, but at the same time, like me and FD, we talk sports, we do this and that, and we will talk sports after we talk about the business stuff. But, you know, outside of that, man, when it comes to, you know, the business stuff, man, like, look, man, like everyone has their own lane. And I wanted to kind of give them that at least that opportunity to kind of talk about it. And dude, we talked it as men, dude. And, you know, I respect Wiley for that. And outside of Union, man, I really wish the best for Wiley, dude, because he's doing an incredible job outside of Union. A lot of people don't know this, man. He has other businesses out there. And, you know, again, like, you know, big fan of his and what they have done for Union, man. So, but you know, at the same time, you know, going back to the situation at hand, you know, I'm one of those guys, man, where at the same time of being humble, like, dude, like you got to be proud of your work, man. What's the flavor? You know, be proud of the podcast. Be proud of that. So, you know, we're just a little too proud in that at that moment, but you know, we're very, very glad that, you know, everything's under the blood. So we're good.
Good. Very good.
Beautiful. Well, real quick, Jay was telling me about Sunday. You remember about Kobe passed? It's Kobe's birthday, by the way, and he said you had a cool
birthday, Kobe.
So real quick, before we get off, tell us your favorite. He said he asked you. He wanted me to ask you what were you doing the day he passed away.
Man, so I had my nieces and nephew with me that day, and I remember it was my sister. It was my sister that texted me because I was with my niece at the time. And for those of you guys that don't notice, man, whenever I'm with my nieces or nephews, I black out, man. I'm straight with my kids. These are my kids. I consider them my kids. I don't have kids of my own, so these are my kids. And my sister texted me and be like, I think she said Kobe died. And I'm just like, I thought like she was talking about, you know, something else. Because when me and my sister text, it's either we're texting about about memes or about something. So I'm over here like, what you mean? And then sure enough, man, my wife goes, there's people saying Kobe died, and I had this like weird inclination that it wasn't just Kobe. And I know there was the rumors about Rick Fox, and there was some other stuff. And I've had some opportunities to meet Kobe Bryant, and I never got a chance to, because I remember there was one opportunity where he had his one of my good buddies. He runs an AAU program, a girls AAU program. So there was countless times where he faced Mambasita's team, and of course at the a lot of people don't know, especially in Orange County. If you guys, I live in Orange County, right? Or I lived in Orange County. So if you go to the next level, it was pretty much a no-brainer that Kobe was there, because Kobe was coaching his daughter's team. And there was a couple times, man, where I just wanted to come up there and just be like, hey, Kobe, thank you, because I think a lot of people, especially for those folks that aren't in Southern California, like, they don't understand how big Kobe really was. Like, and that's why I'm very passionate when I say Kobe's my number 1B, because Kobe was our Jordan. JD, we're about the same age, right? So we didn't really get to catch Jordan. FD, you were very blessed because you grew up in Chicago, man. So you got to see Lego.
Real deal.
He's the true Lego. I correct people when people bring up LeBron as Lego. I'm like, no. Lego is Jordan, man. And it's gonna take a minute. But even with Kobe, man, like that day, a lot. It was even the same when Nipsey died. When Nipsey Hussle died, man, it was kind of the same feeling. But for Kobe, it was very cold. Like, it was very cold because you just didn't think that would happen, man. Like, I had chances to, one of my biggest regrets is my cousin Ivan. He had tickets to the funeral, and or not the funeral. I'm sorry, the tribute, and the service, and man, I didn't go, and that's still one of my biggest regrets. Actually, at the Burbank show, if you guys are selling like any sort of the 2006 game against the Utah Jazz, if you guys have tickets, the ticket stubs of that game in a PSA slab, please hit me up, man. I'm looking to add that to my PC, man, because that was a game that I remember that I was like, dang, this is Kobe. This is his last game. And I can't explain it, but being in Southern California, FD, I don't know if you lived in Southern California at that point. I'm sure you did.
No, I was there when Kobe passed away. Yes.
No, but you were there. Were you there in 2016 when that was his final game?
Yeah, I was back here. Yeah.
So if anyone was watching that game in Southern California, everyone was rooting for Kobe to get to however many points he was trying to get.
Oh yeah. Even before the game started. Yeah.
People talk about the 81. People talk about the the game against Sacramento. People talk about the game one of my personal favorite games against Phoenix, when Phoenix was number 2 and they were number 7, and Kobe made that game tire and game winner, and then he did the whole that thing. My favorite Kobe game was his last game.
Yeah,
I thought that was the most magical game. Now, a lot of basketball purists think that game was, they weren't even playing defense, this and that. I'm like, bro, I don't care. This is Kobe Bryant. Like, dude, he dropped 60 in his last game, y'all. Like, last game. And for him to dude, man, look, I PC'd Kobe. I got to the lowest of the values of Kobe cards. I got to some of the highest Kobe cards. And there's some cards I sold of Kobe Bryant that has helped me with my rent. There's some I credit Kobe Bryant and my fandom for Kobe Bryant for being in this industry. I credit my fandom for Kobe Bryant for being best friends with Flipstar, because a lot of people don't know, because Flipstar is one of the biggest Laker collectors out there, right? So, dude, there's a lot of things that fandom gets you, and I don't mean to sound deep in this podcast. This is the deepest podcast ever.
Get deep, bro. Get deep.
But it's things like that ultimately goes back to that day when he passed away, and just like you never know until someone's gone, and of course to make it worse, man. I mean, those innocent kids, his daughter, the kids that passed, the coaches that passed, like, I had a little bit of beef with the Filipino media because one of the people that passed, she was Filipina, and they just kept trying to like make it an agenda of like, oh well, one of the people that passed was Filipino, and I'm over here like, dude, there's other people that died there, like, bro, like, don't count them out. And even then, there's people that count. I get it, man. I get it. Kobe and Gigi are the attention side of the whole tragedy, but at the same time, man, there's folks that were outside that norm of and can you think, like, man, like, how many people would say no for that opportunity to just, like, yo, I'm gonna be with Kobe, like, and to tragedy to strike, man. It's just something that's like we will never ever really get to even picture, right? Even till this day, man. I mean, it's what, 4 years, man. It's still crazy, man. It's still
it still
wild,
hits
but
hard.
it still hits, man. And, again, it's different because, again, all of us are Southern California, FD especially, right? So, we're all Southern California folks. But, until this day, man, the tribute to the Mamba has been nothing but incredible, man. I mean, I went to the tribute at Staples, and, I got to bring my nieces and nephew. And my nephew, till this day, man, he knows Kobe as Kobe, and he never got to experience Kobe live, never got to see him, but he plays the games, he watches the games, and to be able to have YouTube and all that stuff, and get to see an AI, get to see a Ray Allen, and get to see a Jordan, right? I mean, even myself, I started watching a lot of Jordan highlights, FD, and just seeing what I have missed, right? And I think it goes back to that time of just fandom, right? And being a fan of the game of basketball. So yeah, man. I mean, it was definitely a hard day, but on the bright side of that, man, I mean, you've seen a lot of people kind of tune in their Mamba mentality. So if anything, that was definitely a blessing for sure.
The most interesting thing to me about Kobe Bryant's passing is that he was being a father.
Yeah, for sure.
He was being a father.
For sure.
He could have been anywhere else that day. Could have had his children on the back seat. Could have been spending time with totally different people, and his child was at home. He was actually being a father.
Right. And there's all this talks about EJ running the Burbank show. It's all hard. I get my text messages are going wild right now. I'm looking at it on the back end. Hey, man, you must be stressed. You must be this. Man, I'll say this, man. I'm not a parent. So it's a bit different when you're a parent, right? And that's why I respect Rob. I respect Jay outside of it, because, man, I get to see two partners of mine that, outside of business and just how they act. So, I say that, man, all the time, man. Like, my job ain't that hard compared to, the regular folk that may be on that 9 to 5, or, that parent that may have to pick up their kid and they got to leave work. Like, I always kind of put that in the back of my head and be like, dude, like, I live a dream job, man. So it ain't that hard.
Crazy. You got anything else for him, FD, or what?
No, not concerning the Burbank Car Show. I mean, we can jump into sports talk.
How much time you got left, EJ?
Oh, man, I got all the time in the world, man. I say they're like 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Go ahead. Tell him to start talking that talk you guys have been talking. All right, let me paint the picture. Was it April, May when you guys had the little going back and forth with the Warriors?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we got to support our teams. I mean, EJ, did you think the Lakers was going to win a championship?
You know what? I'll say this without trolling. I thought they had a chance after Game 7 of that Memphis game. Yeah, I thought they had a chance, and again, have you guys ever heard that term of LeBron? Like, how we talked about how, like, we couldn't imagine Kobe retiring, right? There was nothing in my mind that could ever imagine LeBron slowing down, right? Because he spends a ton of bread on his body. I mean, this man is literally built like Terminator. This man's the man, right?
Yeah. And,
bro, I don't know what it was, but it was that one game where he had only like 18.
Yeah.
Like,
he shot threes. And, yeah.
and you could tell like there was a moment where you were just like, he kind of like put his head down, and I think AD was just like, yo, like you good, and I could just tell LeBron was getting older.
I think that foot was bothering him.
Yeah, that foot too, right? So, but I felt like even with the foot injury, like this may have been one of his greatest. And I'm saying this not even as a LeBron fan. I'm saying this as a basketball fan. This was after the Ontario show. It was my father's first Laker game ever. I took him to the Laker game. I don't know if you guys remember, but that was the first sign of LeBron's foot injury. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, I really hope LeBron plays. And sure enough, we get into the tunnel. And at the time, they were like out the playoff picture, right? And they just traded for Rui. They just traded for Mo Bamba, one of the greatest songs of all time. They just traded for pieces that, in my opinion, were pieces that a lot of people weren't really understanding. Jared Vanderbilt, like these are players that were just like we don't know if it's going to work or not, right? Maybe this is just a play to get younger, right? Mm-hmm. And I was watching that game, and sure enough, LeBron comes out, and my dad's eyes lit, like because my dad's never seen LeBron play like outside of high school, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad was like watching this game, and my dad just looks at me and he's like, "That's what makes LeBron great. He made everybody better, even without even playing." Like he got like he was playing for the first 2 quarters, and then after that he kind of shut down because of All-Star Weekend. Mm-hmm. But that was the first, and then to be able to turn that team around to get you to the playoffs. I mean, to play in, right? Mm-hmm. The play in, and then to get you to playoffs, and then ultimately to play against the Warriors, which in my opinion is a dynasty, mm-hmm. right? I mean, you're talking about the greatest point guard of all time. I will say that publicly, the greatest point guard of all time.
Speak on it.
And to be able to play against, in my opinion, one of the greatest offensive teams ever. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm giving FD credit here. I'm not throwing him.
You're speaking truth. You're speaking all truth.
I'm just speaking truth, dude. Like, you guys ever wonder and watch a sorry to cuss on the what's the flavor, but watch a game where the Warriors are down 15, and then all you see is Steph Curry just like stretching out for a little bit, and you're just like, that 15 is not too comfortable. And sure enough, they're only down by 5 within a minute. Yeah. Like that's an offensive team, and I think that after that Warriors game, I think that beat up LeBron a lot. And then of course a lot of people kind of talk down on the Nuggets. Dude, that Nuggets team was stacked. That Nuggets team was a stacked team, and a lot of sports folks are sports card folks. They're sports card guys, but they're not sports guys. That's and right. A lot of these sports guys don't understand sports. Dude, you're talking about 2 Game 7s, Game 7 series, and like, dude, you're talking about nearly a 40-year-old man, mm-hmm. and you're talking about a player like Jokic, who's a phenom in both offensively and defensively, mm-hmm. like an incredible phenom, right? He changes the game, right? You're talking about Aaron Gordon, who, in my opinion, was one of the most underrated players in that whole series, right? In the finals, like, and you're talking about a Jamal Murray who literally became a baby Kobe.
Yep.
Like,
for real,
like, dude, like you couldn't beat that team, man. And shout out to my Miami Heat. That Miami Heat is my 2K team. A lot of people don't know that. It's gonna change, man, because we lost some shooters. Gabe Vincent was my secret assassin in 2K. But the Heat, man, I really hope that of all the people are talking about Damian Lillard getting a ring, I really hope Jimmy Butler gets a ring. Because he deserves it, man. He deserves it. So, but outside of that, man, me and FD, man, we went at it. FD threw his jab when we lost it, and then I threw some slight jabs at FD. Slight is an understatement, but all that aside, man, it's all love, man. Look, like I said, man, I love conflict, man. So I'll make it happen.
Well, I tell people all the time, I'm born and raised in Chicago, South Side. And if we weren't smack talking on sports, we weren't watching sports.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's part of the territory. I think sometimes when I come to LA and I start talking to people about sports, and they're kind of like, man, what is he talking about? That's how I grew up. This is how we get down. We start talking about basketball, boxing, football. I mean, it could be anything. And when we played against each other on the playground, there was a lot of talking going on. So
right. No, that's all facts, man. And I could tell a lot, man. Whenever someone has never played organized sports in their lives,
you can tell.
I can tell, man. I can tell. Locker
room I always say,
have you
broke the threshold of a locker room? Have you been in a locker room?
I can tell, man. I can tell quickly. I'm gonna share this quick story. It was I'm not gonna name any names, but there's a very prominent influencer. I didn't say he was prominent. It's just that he's named a prominent influencer. I had a meeting with him. Me and Rob had a meeting with this man, and literally talked his game. And I respect anyone that talks their game, FD. I respect anyone that talks them up, as long as you could back it up, right? And that's the one thing about Le Cardfather, man. He could back it up. So sure enough, influencer hits him on a jab. Rob hits him with a cutter, uppercut, and then this, it's just light jabs, and then they got serious where Rob ended up, hitting with the whole like, oh, that's great, but like, you ain't the Cardfather. And I remember I was just like, hey man, you ain't ready for this, bro. You ain't ready for this. So yeah, man. I mean, there's things that again, it's we're talking amongst men here, right? So we want we want to make sure everyone's as comfortable as possible. But hey, if you can't.
What happened?
Oh man, that was probably that influencer that probably turned it off. But yeah, man, it's all good. But I will throw a question out to you guys, man. I've been very curious about a lot of things that's happening. I think a question you guys had asked Jay was who's going to be the face of the league. That's actually a great question. And I don't exactly remember who you guys had. People named Ant-Man. Yeah. Who was the one that said that Ja had that opportunity, but then messed it up because he? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was a smart comment, because if you really understand the corporate side, they usually try to kind of angle it, right? And originally it was Jason Tatum, right? And then of course he lost in the finals previously. So they ended up, having to focus on someone else, and sure enough, man, it was Ja Morant. And dude, Ja Morant, I think there was a post about his father, man, and something about his dad saying, Ja Morant, he made bad decisions not because of the people around him, but because of his own thing. I don't know the exact truth of all that, but I will say this is that you are as good as the people around you. And man, I'll say this, man, like I think that the guy right now that has that opportunity to be the guy is Anthony Edwards, that a lot of people aren't really talking about. And I say that with some backing here. If you guys watch Team USA, I think Jay had brought up the B team. That's the B team. I'm like, dude, if that's the B team, they were down by 20 points against Spain with 6 minutes left in the third quarter, and I had thought they were the B team. And all I remember was Steve Kerr, and this was another credit to not Steve Kerr, but Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra changed the lineup. And a lot of people know Eric Spoelstra is my older cousin. So if you guys go check out the family background, my middle name is Spo, so we speak on, I'm proud of my cousin, but Spoelstra changed the lineup, and if you guys remember, it was a 3-guard lineup.
Yeah.
And Edwards played the 4. And that lineup was, I think it was Brunson, Reeves, Halliburton, Edwards, and then I think it was either Paolo playing the 5. Yeah, it was Paolo playing the 5. And I remember they were down 16, and all I remember was it? I forget which team it was. It might have been Germany, because all I remember was like they were talking mad smack. Like I could see Schroeder talking mad smack, and and they were doing well because they were a team, right? This team was assembled in Las Vegas in July 6th, So all I remember was that lineup was changed, and Edwards became what, in my opinion, became the guy. And the last guy, if you guys see with Team USA's, like the history of Team USA, whoever was the guy that became that guy, regardless of what it was, it translated to the next season. And now the Timberwolves aren't necessarily a team that is probably the best team for Edwards at this moment, but at the same time, I'm sure that Edwards is going to come his own, and I just really hope that off the court, he stays. He's a very marketable guy. I mean, this guy's a very marketable kid, good kid. I'm sure he's made his mistakes, right? But he has that opportunity. But outside of Edwards, I think that the guy ain't even here yet.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I say as well. I mean, a lot of players have to play their way into the conversation.
Yeah. Like even in Edwards, I bring up Edwards because I just saw what he could do with the right pieces, right? I mean, look, Tatum has all the right pieces in the world. Yes, Jaylen Brown can't go left, but at the same time, he could go left with his bank account. This man has a bank account. But at the same time, that also shows you the advancements of our game. That there's a guy that can't go left, but he's dominantly right, and he could dominate with the right. Like that shows the advancements of our game, right? And I think in the end, I don't think that guy is here yet. I mean, I'm very big fans of grassroots basketball. For you guys that do not know, like I follow a lot of college and high school basketball. Even sometimes I'll follow a little EuroLeague here and there, right? And if you guys are big fans of basketball, I would follow some of those guys. I'd follow some of the overtime elite stuff and follow some of those kids that are there. That's kind of one of those things to where I don't think there's that guy just yet. After Steph and LeBron leave, again, wishful thinking. I hope it becomes one of those guys that are currently here. But at the same time, Luka, FD, I will agree on you this, man. Luka hasn't done much, anything. But I did get to see Luka live. And, man, I will say, bro, he was probably one of the best basketball players I have ever seen. This man is a magician. And not just on the court. I'm talking about when he talks to the refs, oh, man, he controls the refs. Like, there's some psychological within the game of basketball, right? So, man, he does his part. And, yeah, I really hope it's one of the guys that's currently in the league. But truthfully speaking, at this point, I don't know if it's any guys. There were guys that had the chance. I think Ja had that incredible chance of being the guy. And I still hope that he turns it around. But at this point, man, it's a bit tough.
EJ, what do you think of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? What do you think of this game?
Man, I'm glad you brought up Shai, because I would be very disrespectful if I didn't bring up the Australian Larry Bird, right? And I think that team has an ultimate chance of being, because you talk about the KD, the James Harden, Russell Westbrook, in my opinion, the what if dynasty team, right? Because they had all the pieces in the world. That OKC team has enough pieces to progress to a team. It reminds me a lot. I'm not trying to jinx them, but it reminds me a lot of the Warriors in 2013. They're very, very, very deep when it comes to the shooting area, right? And you're talking about someone like Poku. There's a buddy that we know very dear and well in Southern California. He told me that Poku was going to be the greatest player of all time. I laughed at him, and sure enough, I was right. But at the same time, Poku is one of those guys that stretches the floor. He may not be as strong, but he stretches the floor. But outside of him, you're talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a stud. He's an all-star. He's a bona fide stud. You're talking about a guy that could potentially average 28 to 30 next year. This guy just is confident. He's very confident. A lot of people even talk about the Clippers and how they messed up on that trade. Man, to be honest with you, there was nothing about Clippers messing up. It was about the OKC Thunders having a strong developmental system. And man, Shai became that development. And man, I saw him at Kentucky, and I remember that he was another guy that couldn't go left. Like, he couldn't go left. And for those of you guys that don't know, he has a cousin, Nickel, right? And at that time, Nickel was ranked higher than Shai in high school. And for Shai to have that guard presence, he's a big guard, about 6'6", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", big guard. But, outside of him and the Australian Larry Bird, man, you may have a two combo there, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Diddy, what you got?
No, I'm good. I enjoyed this combo. Been waiting for this one.
EJ, are there any big men in the NBA that excite you outside of Embiid, Giannis, Joker? Anybody else you see coming up?
I mean, I'll say this about Embiid, like, dude, stud, a total stud. Talk about progress, right? Trust the process. Outside of him, it's a dying breed, man. It's a dying breed. There's nothing else that, I mean, look, even Wembanyama is probably a 3. He's probably a 3 or 2. Like, he's not even in that conversation. You know, it's just a dying breed, guys. I mean, I think this is probably where we kind of put the nail on the coffin on that position. And that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just kind of it's a different game. It's a different game.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. I caught that last tail of it because I was a big Marshall Faulk fan because of the fact that I used to play the video game, the Madden game, when he was in the cover, and he was a cheat code because he was a 99 overall. And I caught that last end of it, and then after that, I think it just became a QB based game, and then it became it became a TE game, a tight end game, and it just became that. And but going back to the basketball side of it, man, like outside of the big man, dude, you got. I think we're seeing something here where this may be the last end of it, man. So until Junior, gets those good genes, man, and becomes the big man, I don't know, bro.
That's true.
So, yeah, FD not even lying, man. I'm not gonna put FD on the spot. FD gonna make Junior shoot threes. That's his layups, anyways. So.
Well, I will make him work on stuff that's not his natural approach. I think that makes. If you want to be an athlete, be better.
Right.
If you want to love the cardio.
Right.
Don't clip.
Cool, man.
All right, so we good then, I think.
You got any more questions, JD?
I'm good.
Trying on my swing, man.
EJ, it's a pleasure to have you here. And to talk about the show, break some stuff down, about what's coming up, just talk to you overall about sports and life.
Oh man, it was a pleasure, man. And man, I mean, outside of running the smallest card show in the West Coast, I'm very, very, very happy to look forward to just seeing some of my friends again, man. I mean, being able to see y'all, being able to see some of my buddies from all over the country, all over the world, and we all share the same love and respect for the industry and the hobby. And look, I selfishly think of this as like, hey, I'm setting up a cool little kickback get together with my friends, So, man, I can't wait for you guys to really experience the true epicenter of card shows and collectibles, and we mean that with a lot of pride and respect because we put in the work and we work with some of the biggest brands. So big shout out to all of our sponsors, a huge shout out to those of you guys that are dealers that are trusting us with your business and setting up with the shows, and we're very, very appreciative of that, and I don't take that lightly at all. And then of course for the guests, guys, like I really appreciate it, and for you guys, the media guys, look, man, I appreciate y'all so heavy, man, just because I'll go up to a local I'll go to a local show and someone's like, yo, I saw you on What's the Flavor, man. I saw you. And I'm just like, yep, man. So, the media guys, man, even the influencers get a lot of hate in this. But, shout out to all you guys that are doing it, man. You guys are growing this pot into bigger and better things to where there's a guy that maybe has one foot in the door. And, who knows, maybe one episode of an FD episode becomes that 1 foot inside to make it to where he's full-time in it. So, very, very appreciative of you guys, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'll see you next Thursday.
Oh yeah, JD, clock in, JD, clock in, man.
I like those nice passes you guys got.
Clock in, FD, I'll get you a pass, man. You can do your thing, bro. JD, you stay with me. You staying with me, bro. You staying with me, man.
Hey, I'm coming up. I hope you guys don't forget.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We won't forget you, man. We got the Burbank staff shirt ready for you, bro. We got it, bro.
All right, then. I'll see you.
All right, guys.